How to film baseball or softball like a professional sports videographer. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete. I've got my coffee here and we're gonna have a little chat about how to film baseball or softball in the best way possible that will have you moving like a professional sports videographer. If you are new here to this channel, my name is Pete Gottschalk. I'm a content producer at Major League Baseball, so I have quite a bit of experience filming baseball and softball from my time at the University of Georgia as well. So I'm gonna take y'all through preparation, pregame, in-game, postgame, and wrapping up. Now, of course, I understand if you're working for different entities, there's gonna be different workflows that you might have, such as uploading to different places, whether you can edit in-game. So your workflow is obviously not gonna follow this exact kind of plan that I talk about today. I'm gonna take y'all through each phase of the game, each phase of kind of a softball or baseball game, and I'm gonna take y'all through how I would go about shooting it and providing the best content possible. So let's start off with preparation. What will you need to shoot a baseball or a softball game to the best of your ability? Now, I understand everyone has differing budgets and financial capabilities and in turn gear and whatnot, but I'm gonna take y'all through kind of the average or standard setup that you will need to shoot a baseball or softball game. Now, that is gonna be a camera body, right? So that could be mirrorless, DSLR, whatever. If you're watching this video, I assume you're gonna want something rather beginner or intermediate there in terms of camera body. You know, Sony a7 III, a7 IV, Canon R5, anything along those lines is great. Of course, you can shoot with an iPhone if you really want to. But I would say like a mid-range kind of mirrorless crop camera or full frame if you have the capability is a great start. If you need Camera Rex, I have a few videos on cameras. Go check those out on my channel. And the second thing you're gonna need is lenses, of course. This is something that a lot of beginners will overlook when they first come into this sports videography world. You're gonna need good lenses. It's just as important as the camera body, if not more important. Generally speaking, to shoot a baseball game or a softball game, you're going to want one wide lens and one lens that is kind of medium length. Now, you don't really need, for baseball, a full telephoto lens like a 200 to 400, which obviously those are very expensive. Unless you're on a huge field or you want to shoot from the outfield all the time or your access is really limited. I assume if you're shooting youth baseball, college baseball, even minor league baseball, even at the major leagues, you can just shoot with a 70 to 200 and that suffices. Now, of course, these aren't cheap. You can get like an F2 version or an F4 version. You can find some for a couple $100 used, especially the F4 versions. You're gonna absolutely need some sort of 70 to 200 or something that goes a little bit past like 135, I would say, to shoot a baseball game. Unless your field is absolutely tiny, you might be able to get away with it. And then, of course, wide lenses are just important for pregame and postgame and dugout action. So I would go with maybe a 16 to 35. A 24 to 70 would probably be what I prioritize ultimately over the 16 to 35, just because you're able to get that kind of 24 to 70 to 70 to 200 coverage there. But you can also get away with other lenses as well. You could use a 50 pregame, which obviously isn't wide, but it's prime. You can get some cool stuff. You could do a 35. These are all lenses that are pretty cheap that you can find used, and there's plentiful around. And now you don't absolutely have to have this. It's kind of optional, but it's also kind of necessary. It's some sort of external mic. Shotgun mic, it could be a Deity, it could be a Rode mic, it could be another brand, a cheap brand, whatever, and a really nice brand if you want to. I go with Rode, $100-ish, maybe a little more. That's what I would recommend. They're really great. I've had one for like 8 years. So definitely some sort of Rode Video Mic Pro or something like that to capture higher quality audio. You can get away with just shooting with the external microphones, but I don't recommend this because it's gonna sound all tinny and low quality. And whenever the stadium's loud, you're really gonna notice that. Those three things, right? Camera body, mirrorless DSLR, crop sensor, full frame, whatever you kind of have the ability to, or an iPhone, whatever. And then lenses, if you do go for the camera route. So a wide lens and then kind of a medium range telephoto lens, ideally a 70 to 200. And then of course, an external microphone if you want to spend that extra $100, but it's not absolutely necessary. These pieces of gear will help you shoot baseball games, baseball or softball games to a standard that is pretty acceptable for social media. You can just get tight shots with that 70 to 200. You can get wide shots of pregame, guys warming up, guys in the dugout, guys interacting with your camera, and then you can also get high quality audio with that external microphone. So let's move on to pregame. Pregame is a great time for B-roll. It's a great time to get those cinematic shots because you're gonna have better access, right? So you'll be able to get guys walking out of the dugout up close. You're not gonna impede on their action. Of course, they're gonna be warming up, so you're gonna have to be wary of that, but it's not like the ball is flying around at high speed. Spend your time pregame getting those wide shots of guys walking out of the dugout, get their cleats on the dirt, get them throwing, get up close to them as they're warming up. Of course, if you trust them to not hit you with the ball. Pregame is ultimately where you're gonna wanna set the scene for your game. So if it's in a specific stadium, get some exterior shots, get some fans roaming into the stadium, scanning tickets, getting concessions maybe if you want to tell the full story, and then make your way down to the field. Get the guys coming out of the dugout, as I said, get the pitcher and the catcher going out to the bullpen to start to warm up. Capture that whole story. This is a great time if you want to get really good shots for your reel. Utilize that slow motion if your camera has the capability, or go 24 and get that kind of cinematic movie style 24 frames, 1/50 shutter motion blur look. You can get some really cool stuff there. And yeah, overall, pregame is a great time for B-roll. That's what you should be focusing on. Overload yourself with shots that will help tell the story from the game. Whether you're editing a recap or just plain shooting for your reel, this is a great time to get those cinematic shots to tell the story or just build up your portfolio. Now let's move to in-game. In-game kind of varies up based on your access and the stadium you're in, how you want to tell the story, but I'm just gonna kind of go along the lines of how I would go about it and how I tell other people and our photographers and videographers to kind of attack a game. So let's just say you are in a college baseball stadium, right? It's an average small college baseball stadium. It could be a minor league stadium, whatever. What I try to do for the most part is I always stick around in game for the first few innings at least on the field. That can be in the first base dugout, that can be in the third base dugout, depending on if the pitcher's lefty or righty, or you're shooting for one specific team and you want to stay on that side for reactions. The first time through the order, I want to stick on the field to get that, the first at bat for every guy. And then, most importantly, also capture something of the pitcher, whether it's a slow motion video or it's a few strikeouts or it's the pitcher stepping onto the mound, grabbing the ball, kind of playing with the rosin bag or adjusting his cap. Get those tight shots of the pitcher those first few innings so you can kind of establish that story, because the starting pitcher in baseball and softball is so crucial to the story of the game. If your starting pitcher throws a complete game in softball or baseball, like it's going to be probably the main storyline, and the team that you're shooting for will probably win the game. Spend those early innings getting those kind of initial starting shots for the story of the game. And if you're down there for the first few innings, make sure you're grabbing B-roll of guys stepping into the box, get tight on their cleats, like digging into the batter's box, adjusting batting gloves, on deck circle stuff as well. That is something that, goes a long way for your story. And I should add, if you do have kind of on deck circle access, if there's a photo well or a dugout spot that you can get close to guys getting on deck and putting the donut on their bat and trying to time the pitcher up, that's also a great time to capture these athletes starting to lock in. You can get really tight to them if you do have that photo well access during this time, and it's really cinematic shots that you can get from those moments. So once you're down there for those first few innings, definitely capture those on deck circle stuff too, in addition to the starting pitcher and any general B-roll. Now, I always encourage people to move around. I don't like when people kind of stick in the same spot for a whole game. It's like a pet peeve of mine, and I think it's important to building the story of a game. I know I'm going to keep saying that story part of the game, but that's ultimately what you're there to do. After the third inning, unless something is happening, their base is loaded or something unique is happening, I'll move around. So I'll go into the concourse. I'll try and utilize the fans. Go wide. Utilize the fans if you have a good crowd. Go to the top of the concourse. Go behind home plate if you have that access as well. One thing that is really helpful is capturing those pitch movements. That's something like social media audiences don't really see all that often. So if you have that access behind home, it's really cool, and we find those shots do really well on social media, for us at least. And look for certain things once you're roaming around, right? If you have a crazy fan in there that's just going berserk, or the atmosphere is really good, capture those moments, right? Moving around is crucial to telling the story of a game. Another thing to consider is when you move around as a videographer and you don't just stick to the photo wells, you're gonna have a more diverse portfolio of shots from the concourse, from center field, from behind home, from the photo wells. You're gonna be able to build that up. Rather than all your video in your reel shot from the photo well, moving around is crucial to kind of giving yourself a variance of shots, which is very important. Now, another thing that I harp on big time, and this is tough in a lot of stadiums, you don't really get this access, is outfield. Outfield stuff does really well, for us at least on social. If you have the ability to go down the foul lines or go to center field, especially where you can see those pitch movements from guys, whether it's college, minor league, high school, people love to see that stuff, right? It does really well. It's a different view of the game. I made a whole video on this, why you should be kind of varying up how you shoot and why you should venture into the outfield if you have the ability, the lens capability, and the access. I understand not every stadium has this kind of ability. There might be kind of a stanchion in center field where a broadcast camera normally goes in college fields or minor league stadiums. There might be some grandstands out there in left or right field down the lines. You never know. Just be aware, be on the lookout for it. There might be a hill in center field on your high school field that you're able to shoot from. Rent a lens, or if you have the lens capability already, that angle does so well. So just some things to consider when you're roaming around. Now, after roaming around for like 3-4 innings, make your way back down to the field. During the 8th or 9th inning, make sure you give yourself enough time to do this as well. If you're going through a big crowd or you're walking a long distance, make sure you give yourself time, especially in a close game. You don't want to miss a go-ahead home run in the 8th or 9th innings, or a walk-off for that matter. And if you're shooting with other people, make sure you communicate this. Be like, hey guys, I'm moving this inning, or this half inning rather, and I need a little bit of time. Just be aware you're the only shooter right now. And definitely hustle down there. And also do not move around if there's like a big name player up to bat or something like that, or a star player or something. Be aware of where teams are in the lineup so you're not missing certain players at bats if they're more important than others. Same goes for pitchers as well. So at the end of the game, those last 2 innings, you're gonna wanna watch for big reactions, big pitcher strikeout reactions in those high leverage moments, of course, if it's a close game. Any type of walk-off, any type of go-ahead home run or hits, as I mentioned. This is where you're gonna get your best reactions in crunch time when the pressure's on. But that's what you wanna focus on in the 8th and 9th innings, down on the field. You don't have to go down on the field, but normally if it's a close game and there's a walk-off potential, I will go down onto the field, back into those photo wells. Now finally, let's go over post-game. So assuming there's not a walk-off and guys aren't going crazy on the field, throwing water and things like that, the end of a baseball or softball game is normally just some handshakes and whatnot in the field. And normally, in most cases, you're able to go out there and capture those. So once the final out happens, have your wide lens ready. If you have a second camera body, this is ideal because you can put the wide lens on the second camera body and you don't have to change lenses from the long lens to the wide lens on your only camera body. Now, I've never used 2 bodies to shoot a game, but when I do this, what I'll do is I'll just have that wide lens next to me where my one camera, and I'll just switch really fast after the final out. And then I will run out onto the field and capture those high fives. This is important to the story as it adds closure and of course shows the winning team. You can also get some pretty good reactions. If guys are gonna interact with your camera, maybe it's a really hype win or in a big championship game, this is times where you're gonna want to have that external microphone recording. So getting those good sound bites, getting those good hype reactions after a big win is also crucial to the story. Now, if it is a walk-off, make sure you are aware of the situation. If there's a runner on second and there's a hitter up, that's the winning run at second base rather. If there is a ball hit to the outfield, you're gonna wanna switch from the batter to the runner at some point, just to capture that final slide into home and final run scoring. And after you capture the handshakes or the walk-off and the winning team, make sure you're copying your whole card onto your hard drive or wherever you're storing your files. Just capture the whole card to be safe because you don't want to miss anything. And then later on, you can go through all your clips and delete them as you go. And of course, label them properly after that, which is another thing that I've made a video on if you want to go check it out. But that is my step-by-step guide on how to shoot a baseball or softball game like a professional sports videographer. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you do have any questions, I understand there might be, always hit me up on Instagram at PeteChalk or comment down below, of course. I can be slow to respond on Instagram, but I normally always get to my DMs at some point, whether it's days, weeks, or a month down the road. I try and answer everyone. So I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all in the next one.